Hey there, my name is Jason Julian, and welcome to the first episode of my wrestling mini pod. The reason why I'm doing this is because last night, as of the recording, last night I watched Wrestlemania 34, which was put on by the company known as WWE or World Wrestling Entertainment. So basically, this mini pod in review will basically be about pre-show, the main show. I'll be giving my overall thoughts, my opinions on every match that took place during the event, and yeah, that's pretty much the summary of it. So my overall thoughts on the event itself, I thought it was a pretty good event. It would be pretty hard to top the night before where NXT put on Takeover on New Orleans, and at that point, yeah, it would be very hard to try and outdo New Orleans, but that's neither here or there. We're only focusing on WrestleMania. So like I said, WrestleMania 34 was a pretty decent show. The first, I don't know, maybe 3.5 hours were very good, but I'll admit the last hour and a half felt a little bit weird. Also, the show, like in total, was like about 7 hours long. So that includes the pre-show and the main show, which the main show was 5+ hours, which is I'll say it was around 5 hours and 5 minutes long, which this has been a trend for the last few years on the WrestleManias of past. WrestleMania 34 was 5 hours. WrestleMania 33 was 5 hours. So my assumption is that WWE made a very business-oriented decision to make WrestleMania 34 5 hours, which I originally thought was going to only be 4 hours due to the big four pay-per-views, which are SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, and WrestleMania. So all those other three events are 3 hours. I mean, not 3 hours, 4 hours. So I don't really understand why WrestleMania is 5 hours. Basically, what I'm saying is the show felt a little bit long, and by the 5th hour, man, I was just pretty exhausted. So to get started with the pre-show, there were 3 matches on the pre-show: the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight Championship, which also acted as the finals for the Cruiserweight Tournament, and the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royale. So the first match I'll be getting into is the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. This match was pretty decent. It was, I believe, about maybe 20 minutes long, and it was very entertaining. As usual, the amalgamation of many bodies can often create a sense of like a little bit of a cluster. But overall, I thought the match was really entertaining, and in the closing moments of the match, it was down to um, Baron Corbin, Mojo Rawley, and Woken Matt Hardy and Kane, with Kane being eliminated by Baron Corbin, which saw as a repeat effect when Baron Corbin won his Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale in his debut. Then it came down to those three. Mojo Rawley was then eliminated after a surprise return by Bray Wyatt, who had been previously deleted, air quotes there. Mojo Rawley was thrown out with the help by Matt Hardy with the assistance of Bray Wyatt. Then Bray Wyatt ate an end of days by Baron Corbin, but Matt Hardy was able to capitalize by throwing him over the top rope and winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. Congratulations to Woken Matt Hardy, and I hope there is, I don't know, something you can do with the trophy, because the previous winners, I'll be honest, nothing really happens with the winners of the previous year. Like last year, Mojo Rawley won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, and if you follow Mojo Rawley's career, that was not very successful. If I'm being honest, it was not successful. Moving on to the next match, it is the finals for the Cruiserweight Championship match, which is Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander for the Cruiserweight Championship. This match was, in my honest opinion, I thought it was going to steal the show, and it was a very, very entertaining match. But I was a little bit disappointed by the outcome, because I was honestly cheering for Mustafa Ali, and the commentators coined the soul of the Cruiserweight division versus the heart of the Cruiserweight division. And I believe Cedric Alexander was the soul of the Cruiserweight division, while Mustafa Ali was the heart of the division. Those could be flipped, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, this match was very entertaining. John Cena was in the audience. That's one thing with the WrestleMania shows, that they kept cutting back to John Cena for whatever reason. Focus on the matches. it really bugged the hell out of me. But that's just a little side opinion of mine. This match was very entertaining. Maybe, I think it was around maybe 12, 13 minutes. The conclusion saw Mustafa Ali not willing to give up, getting hit in the head with a backwards elbow by Cedric Alexander up to 3 times before Alexander finishes him with a lumbar check, crowning himself the new Cruiserweight champion. Next is the final show in the pre-show match card lineup. It is the Wrestlemania Women's Battle Royale, which formerly was known as the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royale. But after many comments about the Moolah thing, and if you don't really know what happened with the Fabulous Moolah, there are many articles out there. You can search it up yourself. One thing I will say is she's not a nice person, and she shouldn't be celebrated by WWE or the wrestling community period. And there is a shift where people are starting to not celebrate the Fabulous Moolah and instead condemn what she did to many of the women during her time. But back to the match at hand. This match was also pretty entertaining. We saw a few NXT superstars make their debut on the grandest stage of them all. We saw Peyton Royce, Dakota Kai. Some of the names are drawing a blank because I never really watched them before. But there was Peyton Royce, Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane, who was the winner of the Mae Young Classic. Those are the 3 names that come to my mind. But there are I believe at least 6 like NXT superstars in this battle royale. In the closing moments of the match, it was down to, or supposedly down to, Sasha and Bayley, who have been feuding for the last few weeks. Because Bayley feels that Sasha has stabbed her in the back too many times, and she's right. Sasha has stabbed her in the back too many times. And as an act of retribution, Bayley shook Sasha's hand, but then suddenly grabbed her and threw her over the top rope, supposedly winning. Bayley was celebrating, but the bell never rung. So the match was still going, and the commentators were confused. And then when they noticed that Naomi, who was also in the match, Naomi is a SmackDown affiliate who has been with the company for a long time and a former 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion. She hopped back into the ring because she was never officially eliminated. She did not go over the top rope, and both her feet hit the floor. I'm assuming that she went in the bottom rope and fell to the ground. But basically, Naomi threw Bayley out of the ring, creating another WrestleMania moment for herself, repeating last year's WrestleMania where she reclaimed her SmackDown Women's Championship. And that is the end of the WrestleMania 34 pre-show match card. My overall thoughts on the matches, they were pretty decent. 2 of them were Battle Royales, which I didn't think was going to go over that well because having 2 cluster matches, that doesn't always end up working out that well. But WWE, they wanted to get as many wrestlers on the show as possible so they can all get at least a decent payday. Though with the WrestleMania DVD, they may not be featured on it and will not get royalties from it. So there's a little bit of contention there. And yeah, my overall thoughts were that they were very decent. Okay, now we are moving on to the WrestleMania main card. The first match of the night was the triple threat match between Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. This was a really good match. I will say that. This match was amazing. High-flying action, just move after move after move. Many near falls in the matchup. The conclusion of the match saw Finn Balor go for the coup de grace on Miz, but took its time and hesitated due to a knee injury that he was dealing with during the match. Seth Rollins crawled back into the ring and did the curb stomp to Finn Balor, taking him out of the match. Then Seth Rollins pumped himself up and goaded Miz into getting into prime position for the stomp, and Seth Rollins hit him picture perfect, pinned The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship, and Seth Rollins is your new IC champion. Some of the things I really liked about this match were, the teasing of Seth Rollins doing the buckle bomb on Finn, because in a previous matchup, Seth Rollins did the buckle bomb to the barricade and inadvertently injured Finn Balor, tearing his labrum and basically his entire shoulder. costing him months of his career and having him to relinquish the Universal Championship, which he never lost. The Miz, who during his entrance told the Miztourage to leave the arena and allow him to take care of it himself, which was a very noble act, and the commentators even recognized that, saying that the Miz may have turned a new leaf because recently his wife gave birth to their first child, a daughter named Monroe Mizanin. She had a middle name. I don't remember the middle name, but another thing I like is basically Seth Rollins in an entrance where it starts off with his music normally, and then it goes to Burn It Down, and pyro shoots up for the first time in a entrance. And during the walk, you could see Seth Rollins have blue eye contacts, which made his eyes really, really blue, and I like that effect. That was a very subtle effect, but I noticed it. The next was Finn Balor, who, in a way, I thought it would be the surprise thing where he would come out as Demon Finn Balor, but he didn't. But instead, there was a different type of entrance where he basically said he's supportive of the LGBT community by having a bunch of members from the LGBT community join him on the center stage during his entrance. You could also see on his leather jacket, his trunks, and all over his boots his logo for Ballad Club, but instead of like the normal Ballad Club, it was a rainbow style Ballad Club, which I thought was great. It shows like diversity and acceptance among many different groups of people, and I love the message that Finn Balor spread with that entrance and his attire tonight, or last night. Next up is Asuka versus Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I was not expecting this match to be second on the card. I thought it would be later in the night, but I was pleasantly surprised to go into a crazy opening match to another match, which, if given the proper build-up, could have main evented WrestleMania this year. But who knows? There could be a rematch next year, and it may main event. And this match was coined Streak versus the Championship, which is, I believe, the second time that I've heard that. The first time was Edge versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 34, which was 10 years ago. Streak versus Championship for the World Heavyweight Championship, which was the World Heavyweight Championship and Undertaker Streak, both on the line, with Undertaker maintaining his streak and winning the World Championship. This match was, well, like I said, absolutely incredible. These two hit each other really hard. Asuka was aggressive throughout the match. She was taunting Charlotte, and Charlotte reciprocated by taunting of her own, and very physical moments in the match that saw a very surprising outcome to the match, because many thought that Asuka would win the championship, as did myself, but it was surprising to see that Charlotte retained her championship. She retained her championship, breaking Asuka's streak and leaving like quite a few members of the crowd and probably a few members at home watching surprised. Like there were thoughts that Asuka's streak was not gonna go away for a long time, but it just ended right there. And that was a very wonderful twist and a great WrestleMania moment for Charlotte, who also had an incredible entrance that mirrored her father, Ric Flair's entrance, with his music playing in the prelude and paying homage to Triple H's WrestleMania 30 entrance, where she was one of the extras during the entrance. And she paid homage to Triple H by having three guys in Spartan outfits basically treating her like a queen, which she absolutely is. One thing I thought though was that Carmella, who was in the women's WrestleMania Battle Royale, I thought she would cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase, but that didn't occur, so who knows, maybe she'll run out of time and not be able to cash in, or maybe she'll cash in on SmackDown on Tuesday. We'll wait and see. So my overall thoughts on that match were, it was very hard-hitting, it was decent with a surprising outcome. Next up is the Fatal 4-Way for the US Championship, which features Rusev taking on Jinder Mahal, Bobby Roode, and Randy Orton for the United States Championship. This match was, it was a little bit, like, it could not follow up the matches on the previous two matches. But for what it's worth, this match was really decent. It was fast, it was action-packed, and it saw another surprise winner. Many people thought that Rusev, due to his Rusev Day movement and chants from the fans, many wanted Rusev to become the United States champion once again. But Rusev ended up being pinned in the match for Jinder Mahal to win the United States Championship. The closing moments of this match saw Rusev hitting the Machka kick on Sunil, who is Jinder Mahal's sidekick, and Jinder Mahal hitting his finisher, the Koloss, on Rusev and basically stealing the win away from Randy Orton and Bobby Roode. Like I said, this match was pretty decent. There was no way it could follow the previous two matches, but it was a great match for what it was. It was fast, it was action packed, the crowd to cool down for a bit, and yeah, that's pretty much it on the US title match. Next up, this match was absolutely surprising. It's the mixed tag match which pits Ronda Rousey and the Raw General Manager Kurt Angle against the COO Triple H and Raw Commissioner Stephanie McMahon in a mixed tag style match. Now, since the debut of Ronda Rousey, there have been doubts of whether she could actually go or not. And what this match has displayed, also many people thought that she wasn't going to be in the match that long and that the match wasn't going to be long itself. But that was definitely not the case. She was absolutely amazing, especially for her debut, her first ever wrestling match, and she made a debut on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania in front of I believe 78,000 people at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. This match was absolutely surprising. I believe it probably went almost 20 minutes with a bunch of different action that hasn't been seen for a long time within the WWE. Intergender wrestling, which over the past few years, WWE has gone a more PG direction, and they have changed their ways from having men beat up women, and that's pretty much it. Just having men beat up women, treating women like objects, having blood all over the place for many of the matches. And this match was amazing. Ronda Rousey pulling out all the stops, including Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, who had a very, very interesting entrance with a motorcade of motorcycles with the two of them coming at the very end. These four put on a very, very great match, which at the end saw Ronda Rousey putting Stephanie McMahon in an armbar and kayfabe breaking her arm. Or maybe really breaking her arm. So my overall thoughts on this match, it was absolutely surprising. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and hats off to Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon for putting on an incredible match. It was fun. I just don't really know what else I can say about it other than that it was amazing. Next up is the triple threat for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, which pits the Bludgeon Brothers against the Usos and the New Day. This match was to be expected to maybe steal the show, but this ended up being basically kind of like a glorified squash match, which saw the Bludgeon Brothers, which composed of Rowan and Harper, basically destroying the Usos and New Day for a period of maybe 7 minutes. While Usos and New Day fought valiantly, it was no use against the Bludgeon Brothers. They absolutely dominated these four individuals to claim the SmackDown Tag Team Championships and remaining undefeated as a tag team. Next up was the segment featuring John Cena, where he basically entered, and earlier in the night, I should have mentioned this, during the celebration of Charlotte beating Asuka, a referee came running out of backstage straight to John Cena, telling him that he's here, which basically means Undertaker. So I just gotta clear that up. John Cena basically came out, he was standing there, nothing happened, and then suddenly Elias showed up, who basically started playing a song disparaging John Cena, the fans, and the Undertaker. After clearly displaying frustrations of the Undertaker not showing up, but instead getting Elias, John Cena quickly dispatched Elias and was set to head backstage with his head held down. But suddenly the lights went out, and that custom gong of the Undertaker just rang throughout the Superdome, and you basically saw Undertaker's coat and hat sitting in the center of the ring, just like last year when many people thought he was going to retire or had retired during that time. It went completely dark again, the hat was gone, and then the gong hit again, and Undertaker's music started playing, with Undertaker coming out in his original Dead Man attire. Well, not original Dead Man, but coming out in his Dead Man gimmick. And many people thought that Kid Rock would come out and play Undertaker's theme song, The Return of Deadman Inc., and the American Badass version of The Undertaker, which ran during 2000 to 2003. One thing I love the Undertaker's entries is they are always mesmerizing, and they always take a very long time. One thing I thought was weird, though, is that maybe it was just a TV I was watching, but the lighting was really, really blue. Like, it was so incredibly blue that you could barely see the Undertaker, you could barely see John Cena. And for a second there, like, I was thinking while Undertaker was coming down to the ring, I thought it wasn't actually Undertaker. I thought, because how intense the blue lighting was for me, I thought it wasn't actually the Undertaker. I thought it was an imposter, and then, or maybe I thought it was Kid Rock, who was posing as a dead man. Then that would basically kick off the American Badass coming out in his trademark motorcycle and bandana. But no, it was actually the Undertaker in his dead man gimmick. And yeah, a match took place between these two, which was like commonly received as a dream match between these two. This match, I don't even think lasted 4 minutes. This match was like a glorified squash match. John Cena got his ass beat by the Undertaker for, I believe, like 4 minutes. Undertaker beat the living crap out of John Cena, with John Cena only getting one move in, I believe, which was his spin out powerbomb, with Undertaker sitting up and basically scaring the hell out of John Cena, and it ended with John Cena getting tombstone, making Undertaker 24-2. My overall thoughts on this match was, it was quick, it was surprising. I'll be honest, I didn't see the match, I only heard it because during that time I had a little bit of bowel issues, but I won't go into that. I'll just say they were bowel issues. Okay, next on the match card is Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon taking on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, with the stipulation that if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn win this match, they are reinstated to SmackDown, but if Shane and Daniel win, then Kevin and Sami remain fired. This match was very fun. It started off with Owens and Zayn attacking Shane and Daniel from behind and powerbombing Daniel Bryan for the second time in 1 week against Apron, supposedly temporarily taking him out of the match. At that point, it became basically a 2-on-1 situation between Shane McMahon taking on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn by himself. One thing I will say about Shane McMahon is that he fights with his heart, not really with his head. He would continue fighting even if it was a 7-on-1 odds, which is not a smart idea, and you should really know when to throw in the towel. But during the first few minutes of this match, Shane McMahon was getting decimated by Owens and Zayn. And I'll just say this, Owens has some of the best banter in professional wrestling, as he was just shit-talking Shane at saying, like, calling him down, calling Daniel Bryan down, yelling about how he's better than everyone. Basically, the character of Kevin Owens in general. But eventually, Daniel Bryan returned to the match after being looked at by medical officials, or checked out, air quotes, by medical officials, and basically resumed the match. And I'll say this, Daniel Bryan did not miss a beat. After not being in the ring for, I believe, like 3 years, it was just so incredible to see Daniel Bryan just get back in the ring, and it looked like he had not missed a beat. He was doing his signature moves, he was doing his fighting style, he did his signature flip, he did his patented knee, and then transitioned into the yes lock, which saw Sami Zayn tap out and basically, yeah, this was Daniel Bryan's return match was absolutely great, and Daniel Bryan did not miss a beat. The conclusion of this match basically saw Daniel Bryan hitting his patented running knee, then transitioning into the yes lock, causing Sami Zayn to tap out, and Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon win the match, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn remain fired. The next match on the card is Nia Jax taking on Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. This feud was, in my opinion, a little bit weird, as Nia Jax is a big woman. I'll say that right now. She's not. I'll stop there. She's a plus size woman, and during this which basically what sparked the feud was Alexa Bliss, who was portrayed as her best friend over the next few months, basically making disparaging comments about Nia Jax's weight and how she will never succeed at anything. So that in itself was a bit weird and kind of insensitive, and who knows if Nia Jax approved that or not, but the end result was what I actually hoped for, which was Nia Jax ended up winning the Raw Women's Championship against Alexa Bliss, creating a great WrestleMania moment, which saw Nia Jax break down as she was handed the title from the ref. The conclusion of this match saw Nia Jax basically holding a beaten and destroyed Alexa Bliss, and making a statement saying that you cannot tell me how I feel. I like who I am. She cemented that by doing a Super Samoan drop from the second rope, basically kind of crushing Alexa Bliss. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this match. Oh my god, there's so many matches on the card. I still have 3 more matches to go. And the next match, which was coined as the Dream Match by WWE and many people who are smart wrestling fans, I am going to be honest, and I might catch a little bit of flack for this. I was just honestly bored with this match. I know these two had an incredible match in New Japan, and I'll say this match wasn't bad. This match was really good. It was slow, methodical, but it was at a point in the card where everyone was exhausted from the previous matches, and no one responded. Like, it was just quiet, their matchup. The match I'm talking about is Nakamura versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. And like I said, this match was actually really good. It was slow, methodical, it was psychological, it was hard-hitting at times, and the ending of the match was very surprising in my opinion, which saw in the closing moments of the match Nakamura going for his Kinshasa with AJ Styles countering into the Styles Clash, getting the 1-2-3, and the post-match which saw Nakamura giving respect to AJ, kneeling down on one knee, handing AJ his title. And then after a moment with AJ taking the title and raising the belt with one of his arms, Nakamura basically did a low blow, turning his back on the fans, and it was a pretty shocking moment. Like, I know that Nakamura has played a heel in Japan before, but yeah, this was really surprising. Like, I just couldn't believe that Nakamura just did that. And then there were some pretty mean kicks, like, from Nakamura. They didn't look that bad, but if you see how many times he kicked him, it looked pretty bad. They were vicious kicks too, like bunch of kicks right to the head, to the shoulders, basically all over, and then cap that off to add salt to the wounds. Nakamura hit Styles with a Kinshasa on the outside of the ring, basically leaving Styles laying on the ground, beaten, and Nakamura angry that he lost another WWE Championship match. So if these two are going to have a rematch, I hope it main events the next pay-per-view. I swear, like I said, this was at this point where the last hour was a bit weird for me, because I feel that Nakamura and Styles should have main evented WrestleMania. Basically they switched the positions of the Universal title with the WWE Championship. Universal title should have been right here, third last match on the card, and then the semi-main, and then the main event, which should have been the Nakamura and Styles. But I don't make the decisions, and it is what it is. I enjoyed this match. I thought there could have been more between these two, and I hope there's another matchup and it'll be much better than the one at WrestleMania. Now, moving on to the semi-main, which puts Braun Strowman and a little kid named Nicholas versus The Bar for the Raw Tag Team titles. This was heartwarming. This was very heartwarming. It was cheesy. It was fun. It was funny, which saw Braun Strowman basically selecting a member of the audience, one of them being a boy named Nicholas. And I don't know if I'm the only one, but I thought he was a girl for a second. Just by the way his face looked, I thought he was a girl for a second, and I felt kind of stupid after that, but maybe I hope I'm not the only one. But anyway, this was a very quick match. It was another cool down before the prelude to the main event. Braun Strowman basically took on The Bar 2-1, with the crowd really getting into the match and chanting for Nicholas to get into the match, which he did at one point, and then immediately got back out because he's like a 10-year-old kid, and basically saw Strowman slamming Cesaro, winning the Raw Tag Team Championships basically by himself, but Nicholas is basically his partner, and it spawned memes really quickly across the board from wrestling fans, and they were pretty funny. So I'll show some screenshots of some of those tweets, and now for the main event of this mini pod, which basically hasn't really turned into a mini pod. It has gone a lot longer than I expected, kind of like WrestleMania. which is Brock Lesnar taking on Roman Reigns for the Universal title, as Brock is the champion and Roman is the challenger. This match was violent. Like, I believe it was a lot more physical than their first encounter back at WrestleMania 31. And it definitely got violent towards the end, where it saw Brock Lesnar taking off the gloves and elbowing Roman Reigns right in the head, basically cutting him along the hairline, and you could see the blood pouring out of Roman Reigns' head, and it stained the center of the mat with the crimson red of blood. And the closing matches saw Roman Reigns trying to take down Brock Lesnar with 2 spears, getting the 2 count, going for a third one, which would have been his 5th spear at the time, with Brock Lesnar catching Roman Reigns in what would be the 6th F5, basically pinning Roman Reigns in the main event and retaining his Universal Championship. Overall match, I was kind of bored with, because this would have been coming on 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, which is where I live, and this match was long, it was boring, the crowd did not seem to be into it. Actually, they weren't into it. They were chanting many different things. They were chanting CM Punk, they were throwing beach balls, they weren't paying attention to the match. They were, even at one point, they were chanting, "This is awful," after a certain point between this match, and I'm kind of inclined to agree with them, because the match was, while it was physical, it was slow. It was so incredibly slow until the very end, when it really picked up and it really got the crowd's attention, especially with the part of Roman Reigns bleeding like a stuffed pig to pay homage to JR. And there have been rumors of Brock Lesnar potentially leaving WWE for UFC and making a return to MMA once again, but this was a surprise. Brock Lesnar, I think, will stay in WWE for the foreseeable future, at least for now. Or it could be that in his contract that he still has a few more dates that he needs to oblige, and this is a very short-term thing. So that basically kind of wraps up my whole review and summary of WrestleMania 34. My final thoughts are basically what I said at the beginning. This show was very, very decent. Like I said, the first 3.5 hours were decent. The last hour and a half felt a little bit weird to me, and I don't know, it kind of took me out of it a little bit, but that's what you kind of get when you watch so much wrestling during this time. WrestleMania week with WrestleCon, all the different promotions putting on events and shows. It can be exhausting to watch wrestling sometimes, and I'm glad that I kind of limited myself. I watched a lot more than I did last year. Last year, I watched only the WWE events, but this year I watched one event, which was Impact versus Lucha Underground, which was a very entertaining show. So if you guys like this mini pod right here, I might do a review for that show as well. And then I watched NXT TakeOver New Orleans, which I said at the beginning of the show was really, really good, especially the opening match. That match I think should get 5 stars from Dave Meltzer. So again, if you want me to review NXT New Orleans, just hit that like button and comment down below. To basically wrap up this mini pod, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my review and tell me what you think of WrestleMania 34. If you liked it, if you hated it, be sure to be constructive. Don't just say it sucked because WWE has sucked lately. Just don't do that. Just be constructive with your criticisms. You can follow me on all my social medias, Instagram and Twitter at Jason Julian. You can follow me on Twitch, which my username is Jason_Julian. And finally, you can catch me doing more podcasts with Shooting the Breeze, which will be coming soon. I've actually recorded the first episode, but I'm working on it. I don't like the way I've formatted it so far, so I don't know. I want some video footage to go with the podcast, because I don't have it on Apple Podcasts yet. That'll be a whole process, and I hope to be able to launch Shooting the Breeze soon. My Patreon will be coming out soon. I'm still working on that, and many more series in the future, as I don't want to be a one-trick pony. I want to do everything. So yeah, that basically wraps it up. My name is Jason Julian. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time, the next wrestling mini pod.